I am reliably informed that it is 5 o'clock, and as usual, silence or turn off your cell phones just so we don't have any interruptions. This is the Tuesday, February 4th, regular agenda setting meeting of the Aurora City Council, and we're meeting here in the City Hall, Government Center. It's now 5 o'clock, and we have, let's see, I guess we've got to call the meeting to order, which I've just done. And we don't do a roll call because of the fact we're not making any decisions at this particular meeting. So turning to our agenda setting agenda.
Don't you have to let them know that he's in Arizona?
Oh, yeah, I guess. Yeah, for those that are watching this, Councillor McCloskey is participating via Zoom from Apache Junction, Arizona, and there was a specific address listed in the notice of the meeting. So getting back then to the agenda, staff appearances, I think, why don't we just start with our librarian, Jen? Do you want to kind of make your comments?
Yeah. So our winter reading program will be ending February 14th. It was a successful program. We had good activities to attend. We did have a soap class scheduled for this Saturday that had to cancel due to illness. However, we will reschedule that in the future for all library patrons. We hosted Dennis Werner in January. Dennis is a musician that performed folk music. His event was well attended and positively reviewed. Dennis was sponsored by the Arrowhead Library System. AOA held a day at the library again to offer employment assistance to the community. We did have some people utilize this and hope to have this monthly to provide opportunities for those who cannot make it to Virginia. We will be hosting an author visit on February 25th from 3 to 5. Local author Christy Scholar will be here to read her book and offer her book for purchase. The Friends of the Library will be hosting treats and crafts for this visit. The story time is geared toward children under 12 years old, but all are welcome to attend. In February is I Love to Read Month. We have a jar of candy. You can stop in and guess the number to win or enter a drawing for a prize to be held at the end of the month. The Friends of the Library have also funded this. Our prom closet is stocked and is ready for teens to use. We have received more donations from community members and hope to add more male attire. If you have anything laying around you don't need anymore, you're welcome to donate it. And donations can be dropped off at the library during open hours. Please do not put dresses in the book slot. You never know.
Yep.
And then we just created a binder at the library for the city council minutes. So for people that do not have access to the website or would like a paper copy, we will have those available from January 2025 forward.
Good. Thanks very much. Is there a limit on the amount of candy you can pick up for it?
No, you have to guess the amount, and if you guess the correct amount,
you guess the
can
amount.
get the whole jar.
All right. Lucky winner.
Yes.
Okay. Any questions for the librarian? No. All right. Let's see. I suggested, Lindsay and I suggested Luke, that maybe we just turn to our regular agenda items to see if there are any questions that we ought to be talking about in advance on any of those things. The commercial redevelopment grants, we got that in 17. 17.1. On that, I got a clarification, and I wasn't quite clear, and I read it from Lindsay that, and correct me if I'm misunderstood, but these are the fact that during the beautification process, businesses will be applying for grant monies to do some of their improvements, which the city officially has to ask for from the IRRB, and that this is authorizing that program?
Correct. Yep.
Okay, good. All right, I wasn't. Anybody else have questions?
This is in addition to the grant, the $600,000 grant.
So this is specifically specifically for businesses that approach us that would like to apply for further funding through the IRRB for their business.
Okay, that's outside of that state grant.
That I'm unaware of that, where the money is coming from, I'm unaware of, but this is allowing the city to request that to the IRRB on behalf of that business. So where the money comes from, I don't know. But
Yeah, and if I can chime in, my understanding was, the community center is a grant that we got directly for that, but this $600,000 was new state money, and I gather it's being administered through the IRRB, right? And that's why the applications are going in there. Well, I don't think we can do anything wrong by adopting this resolution.
Lucas did talk with the IRRB about this, and yeah, this is just a blanket, and we're keeping it blank. We're not putting any business name or dollar amount, so it allows for all businesses that approach us for this.
So it's setting the stage, kind of.
Correct.
For the whole thing.
Yep, we did have one business already approach, but this is just allowing for any business that would like to receive said funding.
And that would be in conjunction with, but separate from, the street rebuilding project on CSAH 100, right?
Well, this I think it is in conjunction
With
yes,
it, but
yep, but it is separate, I believe, separate
yeah.
projects.
All right. 17.2 is going to be about the donation from Essentia. Anybody have, other than accolades? Just always good to have businesses donate. Let's see. The resolution about the floodplain. Is Josh on? Yep. Josh, do you want to explain a little bit about this floodplain? Luke showed me on a map, and if I understood it correctly, there's just one small tract down on CSAH 110 or something down there around the Holiday Station or a little bit west of it.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. I don't know a whole ton about it, so I've been working with our planner, Sarah, who you guys have seen a little bit on some of our planning work, and she's been working with Lindsay to get the necessary ordinances in place. But I mean, the gist of it, FEMA updates their flood maps from time to time. The St. Louis County maps did get updated, and so there sounds like a potential area that changed. And so it's just getting everything in line with FEMA and the DNR to manage, the National Flood Insurance Program. But I'd have to pull in Sarah to give any more specifics to Aurora, just because I'm leaning on her to kind of work through those details.
Okay.
And Lindsay, I guess, correct me if I'm wrong, is there a public hearing or something at the first council meeting in March that we'll plan on discussing this further?
Yeah, there is a resolution in your packets as well that does discuss this. But as Josh said, Sarah, the planner for Bolinick, is really, really knowledgeable in this subject. So she kind of has prepped everything. She would like to also bring this to Planning and Zoning Commission as well. So in our February meeting for Planning and Zoning, this will be addressed, and then council will hold a public hearing on the 4th of March, in which Sarah is going to be present for any questions or anything like that for her.
Good.
Nancy, what's I thought the public hearing scheduled for February 18th was for this, no? Is something else?
February 18th is actually a street vacancy. So we're on the land subject. We're all getting there. It's all land right now. But then March 4th, I haven't sent out you counselors a notice, just being that it is so early yet. So it'll come out later on, but we'll adopt that resolution tonight to address that.
So two separate public hearings.
Two separate
First one
public
on vacation, the other one on flood.
Yep. So and Josh knows about the street vacancy. That's not through Sarah. So this one specifically is through their planner, because I think it's a statewide thing, correct, Josh?
Correct.
So she's been working with other cities as well.
Okay. Let's see the gambling. Let's see the 17.4 is about the Knights charitable gambling. Has anybody got concerns about that or not? All right. That's an annual event, isn't it?
It's a semi-annual event.
Semi-annual.
Easter. So.
All right, and the request from Celebrate Aurora gambling proceeds. Just to clarify, maybe it says here in the materials, we gave $5,000 last year. Is that correct?
Correct. Yeah, I think it's been the past few years. I wouldn't know exactly how.
And that's what they're asking for now.
I don't think they set a dollar amount specifically.
Okay.
They told us what we have given them in the past, but they didn't set a dollar amount of what they would like.
Anyone have concerns about that if you're not?
So our funds are sufficient to part with 5,000?
They are sufficient.
I don't have any concerns about that, but with inflation and all, should we bump that up to 5,500?
I thought their donations to this covered both, so they're doing Oktoberfest and.
Yeah, right.
Yes, and they
Right.
used to approach us twice a year, but I think in the past 2 years, I think we've done just one larger sum
Right.
versus the 2,500 and 2,500. And then I believe Kimberly does address it's for both Pumpkin Fest and for the 3rd of July. So we could bump it and then still split it in half.
We
if
still have
that's-
monies if we went up to
Yes,
5,500
yes.
and everything?
There was actually a large sum in there last time. We had checked on that, yes.
Well, that John, Council McCloskey is raising a relevant issue, obviously. Yeah, so, and fortunately, we Celebrate Aurora has been getting very good support. So that's, that's a good reflection on the community.
Fireworks went up though, remember?
What?
Fireworks went up.
Oh, yeah, well, that's
Come on,
true.
you're on the committee.
Okay.
Go.
And axe throwing isn't what it used to be.
Extra is just simply not what it is.
All right, so, and then, let's see, the library staff retention premium. Let's see, there's a letter in the packet from the board chair on that, and
I think this is something we should table until Luke is here.
yeah, I think a couple of concerns related to the tabling that I'm thinking is, and talked with Mike a little bit about it in terms of structural type things, and Luke again would be the best one, as you're suggesting, to deal with it. But the library is given a certain budget and allotment, and so maybe our role is more, or one possible scenario would be give some additional money for merit things to the library board to allocate out or something. Just a thought of an alternative way of approaching it. But so, Councilor Hess, you're going to make a motion then to table it.
Make a motion to table it.
Yeah, then. Yeah, not now. Yeah, but yeah. So, okay. Let's see what else was on there. The only other, those tax forfeit parcels of which we got notice in the materials, is that anything, either of those properties? One of them's in the trailer court, and another one's just an isolated parcel. Is that something that, I know a lot of the trailer court ones we've tried to acquire? Because that's,
Yep, it's on both mine and Lucas's calendars to look at that, what closer to when the auction closes. It did set the starting bid out pretty high on one of the
Yeah.
properties we were kind of looking at. So just to monitor that, we'll keep an eye on it for sure. It's in my planner, so Mike says that that's official then. So it's in my planner to go back and review this.
all right.
Hey, Lindsay, on that trailer that's something like $12,000, I know we were acquiring them for around $4,000.
Mhm.
Do you know if St. Louis County allows you to go under the bid that they, the minimum bid that they set?
Yeah, I think
No,
it's
they
a
don't.
new customary thing.
Yeah,
They
it's a
do
new
not allow
system.
that. Yeah, so it's based on legislation a couple years back. They've kind of rearranged their rules entirely. So yes, I don't think they allow anything lower than what they set that starting bid at anymore.
They never have.
They apparently never have. So, but
Okay.
and we don't have
They
first
just,
draft.
they just appraise them at the level that they appraise this one at.
Right.
Okay, I get it.
I
Only
think,
thing if it
starting
didn't,
bid.
I think, sometimes in subsequent auctions, they sometimes may reassess what they
Now,
want.
what about, they said if it isn't sold at auction, it'll go on just for walk-in. Can you buy it for less than, or that's their bottom dollar?
That's always been that way, unless they changed it, but I don't think it's been changed.
Okay, let's see, any other in the materials we had, questions that came up that we had to talk about before the meeting, or?
I had a question for Josh though.
Fire away.
Hey Josh, I know that we were looking potentially getting FEMA money for the Pine Grove Park for culverts versus the bridge. Can you give us an update on that? If that's going to be done in 2025 or not at all?
As far as schedule, I don't have a firm update. So they did come back and award us somewhere around $35,000. And so they reached out with that, and I immediately told Luke, I'm like, I don't think you can even do a repair project. And so that's their whole thing, is put it back to, generally how it was. Like, I think their numbers are off, Luke. To repair this, they have to pull the bridge off, redo the abutments, and then set the bridge back. Well, to pull the bridge off, you need a crane, and crane rental is ridiculously expensive. And so Luke pushed back a little bit to FEMA. We have a meeting, I think it's later this week on Friday, with them to just kind of talk through the specifics and how they arrived at the number. And so long and the short of it is they allocated money, we just don't think it's enough, and so we're pushing them to get a little more juice out of the turnout.
Okay, thanks. Yeah, I knew it was a lot more than 35,000.
Yeah. So it very likely won't be a 2025 project, just the bureaucracy of working through the federal government and encumbering those funds.
Okay, thank you.
Let's see. One other item that isn't on the agenda, but we talked about having the lobbyists to come in and give us a presentation, and I know Luke and I talked to him, and I think Luke might have talked to our lobbyist, Jeff Anderson, and given the uncertainty of the legislative session, they suggested that probably wait until like March, wasn't it, Lindsay, or something? Do you remember we had a little?
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just and even until the process becomes clearer one way or another. That having been said, the League of Minnesota Cities I just got something in the mail, has what a lobbying day for city officials. If anybody was interested in going down and like meeting some of our representatives and senators and things, they have a morning briefing on the general objectives of the league in the legislative session, and then they turn everybody loose to go talk with individual legislators by prearrangement. And I was going to talk to our rep and senator and maybe Senator Osholt and, just make sure they remember us. That we don't have Lizagards there anymore to kind of do that. But
hopefully they'll get a bonding bill at least.
Yeah.
This year.
Well, they have money left over from last year. So all right. So
Josh does have updates.
yes, I was going to say, let's get back now. I think we've gone adequately on the agenda itself. Josh, city engineers update.
All right, thank you, Mr. Mayor. A couple of things I want to work through and kind of update the council. So this fall, we submitted a grant application to the MPCA for some wastewater improvements. So our grant application was to do some sanitary sewer main line lining, so lining that existing pipe. I have the map up on the screen here of the areas we're looking at. This is all targeted based on the smoke testing we did this fall, and unfortunately I have to inform the council we were not awarded funds from the MPCA through their wastewater resiliency program. More or less due to a technicality. I don't like it, but on the original application there's this question, is the project ineligible or not in the fundable range through the project priority list, so league state revolving funds. We checked no, because it technically is fundable through that program, but we're still asking for funds. And so I've been intending to follow up with the MPCA just to get additional clarity. In the original application, they don't say, if you check no here, save your time and don't apply. And so I think that would have been the proper thing to do. And so just to get a little more context as we go after this project again for funding in the future, I just want to make sure we're on the same page as the MPCA and can check all the boxes. So not the best news, but we'll keep trying. The other couple things, we met with St. Louis County last week to discuss some maintenance stuff along CASA 100 in that 2026 project. A large part of the conversation was on the design between Erie Street and Hill Street or Fifth Street on the south side of CASA 100, and specifically that sidewalk there. There was a lot of concern from Aurora Public Works staff, County Public Works staff, regarding that sidewalk and the grades down to the ball field. It likely necessitates some sort of railing. I think there's a guardrail there today for vehicle traffic. But when the walkway goes in, we need we need a handrail just because the slope is too steep, and so that was a huge concern for public works staff from a snowplow perspective, and just a hazard, with their plows. And so we were able to convince the county to drop that sidewalk just because it is kind of redundant. There's the Mesabi Trail on the north side, and anyone trying to make the connection from Pine Grove Park to Erie Street, I mean, they have access through the park. And so that was the compromise with the county to essentially drop that sidewalk. And so as of now, the county's moving forward without the sidewalk on the south side of the street from Erie to Hill Street.
So that would change then the plans for kind of like a designated crosswalk at that Erie and CSAH 100 intersection also?
It does. And so right now the county's position, so I had to drop off before the meeting ended, but I think where they landed is the turn lane was going to get shortened up. And so then they were going to bring that crosswalk closer to the intersection, just due to grade, so they can put the sidewalk in and it fits here generally, with the slopes, but then put that crossing in closer to the intersection. So it'll still be that offset crossing where you got to go cross that single lane of traffic, make a 90-degree turn, and then cross the other direction of traffic. But the county felt like shortening the turn lane was an acceptable compromise given the vehicle speeds through here, and it makes everything fit a little bit better. So,
yep. Well, work in progress. So
work in progress, indeed. I fully anticipate probably a lot more council interaction or updates on this Coxsall 100 project. Just so the county's working through the design phase of the roadway, and with that we'll be picking up the design of the utilities to go along with that. So that'd be the water main primarily from Hill Street to the alley right here in front of City Hall. There are some sewer crossings as well, just north and south, but it's primarily water main that we're going to be replacing concurrently with their project. But also bringing you updates on what the county is doing and how things are progressing. So the other thing, I know the administrator has scheduled a meeting with a focus group to define the downtown beautification improvements. So I'm sure we'll be seeing more at future meetings on that as well.
That's a public meeting, or is that what the business is, or?
I think it is technically a public meeting, yes.
What committee?
Okay.
I think it is.
All right, so the beautification committee. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Yeah. So.
No, you're good. You're good. The last item I had for you, we did open bids for the Canute utility project. So the engineer's estimate was about $1.25 million. The current low bidder was Jola and Soft Excavating at $1.23 million, so just under my estimate. So we had 5 bidders, which is really good. This is part of why I wanted to get it advertised so soon, just so we get good bids, and I think we did. And so 4 of the bids came in very close to the engineer's estimate, and then Uland was a little bit further out there. I'm not sure why Uland was so far out there, given they're in town working on the industrial park. I was kind of caught off guard by that, but it kind of is what it is. So it is not on the agenda to award this contract yet. That is my recommendation, that we do award the contract to Jola and Sop if deemed financially feasible. But so we were fortunate enough to receive the St. Louis County funds, and so there's some check boxes with them that we need to check before they're going to allow us to execute a contract. And so I'll keep working with the administrator through that process with St. Louis County to make sure we maintain eligibility for those funds. And once we get the nod from them, we'll bring the recommendation for award to council. I would anticipate probably the latter part of March when we do that.
Okay. Yeah, just for the audience that's listening in, just to clarify, what generally the improvements that are encompassed in that bid award, could you kind of describe those that go into that subdivision?
Yeah, so it is Probably easier just to pull up the GIS. Turn the water on in the sewer. So it is primarily, let me get my handy pen. So we're gonna hook up to the utilities as part of the industrial park. So that's part of the scope here, is to provide sewer access for the industrial building. So we're gonna connect the sewer on the north side of CASA 100 and then replace the water and sewer utilities that I'm circling here. And so we will get out into Erie Street just to make the connection, but we're not intending to go north or south on Erie by any extent.
Okay,
And
good.
then we are, go ahead, sorry.
No, I thought that was an adequate general one, but if you want to get a little more specific, that's fine, I'm sure.
Sure. Well, I am an engineer. And then the last thing I had is the alley project between 3rd and 4th Avenue is advertised. So the bid opening is planned for next Thursday in the afternoon. I just checked, we have five or six plan holders of general prime contractors. So very similar to Canudi out into this bid, we'll get 4 or 5 bids. Just making sure we're getting the most competitive price we can. So,
No, that's a great response. Good. Yeah. Say we've got a couple minutes, and first of all, any of the counselors have questions of Josh or Josh? No. All right. Just out of curiosity, on the water board, on some of the drawings we were watching or looking at, it had the main new raw or treated water line that's going to go into the trench of the CASA 100 project. And when it got to like Bradish, the preliminary drawing showed that it went up to like 4th Avenue and then came back down more in the area of the center part of the city. What is the logic of that? Yeah.
Are you talking the water main to feed the potential Hoyt Lakes addition?
That's correct. Yeah.
So here, let me share my screen again.
And if it can be addressed another day, that's okay too. So.
No, this will take a second. So my intended route. So we do have water main on CASA 100, and to be fair, the conversation generally to date has been to kind of put that new water main down 3rd Avenue and then Main Street as well. The water main today is in the alleys behind Main Street. And so since we're redoing 1st Avenue and potentially 4th Street as well, with that additional funding, we were able to get through the WIF program. Working with the administrator, I think right now our recommended path is to leave the water tower, upsize the water main to 4th Street, down 4th Street, and then upsize the water main on 1st Avenue. And so this kind of a zigzag, but right now that red line is kind of the preferred path to get that oversized water main to the south side of the railroad tracks. And so what that allows us to do is to not have to put a utility down Main Street. And so we're kind of following that path that we're going down with 1st Avenue to reconstruct anyways. And so getting that 12-inch from the water tower south of the track, we're able to do that more cost effectively.
All right. Thank you. Any other engineering matters? Josh?
No, I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. That's all I have.
All right, very good. City Attorney, any matters to bring up?
No, just working on the easements that need, and then Administrator Hakela with Spectrum follow-up, signing off over on Spectrum. We got a note from their attorney about signing like a release or something from the development agreement. So Luke and I will be looking at that.
Okay.
That's the carefree.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Thank you, Deputy Clerk. Anything to add?
Yeah.
All right. Councilors, anything further? If not, entertain a motion to adjourn our agenda setting meeting.
I'll make the motion.
Moved by Councilor Hess, supported by Councilor Hanson. Seeing no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We stand
Have to have a roll
adjourned.
call
Deputy Clerk. All right, it's 5:30, and I'll call to order the regular City Council meeting, February 4th. We're meeting at the City Government Center in Aurora. It's 5:30, and one of our councilors, Councilor McCloskey, is appearing remotely from Apache Junction, Arizona, at a pre-identified location. And because of that fact, then when we take votes on various action matters, we'll be doing roll call votes rather than audio or just verbal votes on those things. So we could have a roll call, please.
Yep. Gregor,
Here.
Godey,
Sure.
Hanson,
Here.
Hess,
Here.
McCloskey.
Here.
All right, we have a full council. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Moving to agenda item number 4 on our agenda, it's the consent agenda. And for those that might be watching, this is the portion of the agenda in which we try to adopt other portions of the agenda, which are marked by asterisks in the prepared agenda. And the first item would be just to ask councilors, does anyone have any consent agenda items they'd like removed for separate discussion? Okay, seeing none then, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Moved by Councilor Godey,
I'll support it.
supported by Councilor Hanson. Any further comments or questions or concerns? If not, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Gregor,
Yes.
Godey,
Yes.
Hanson,
Yes.
Hess,
Yes.
McCloskey.
Yes.
All right, the consent agenda is approved unanimously. Moving on down then in the agenda of items that are not on the consent agenda. Number 10 is appearances and public forum. I see we have a number of members of the public present. Do we have anybody online, Lindsay?
No.
No. All right. So if anyone wants to address the council, if there'd be a time we could invite that. Our general rules are that we suggest you limit comments without additional council approval to 3 minutes each. And if all of you are here on the same issue, that you maybe assign a spokesperson from amongst your group there. And then when you address the council, if you could identify yourself and your address for the record, we appreciate that. So anybody want to address the council at this time, or?
I'm Cheryl Whitten, I live over on Arrowhead. I just have a couple of questions. These assessments that are being talked about that the franchise fee is for. What are people being assessed for?
Well, there are two separate but related items. Might be better to have is Josh, are you still on the phone or on the line? I can explain. Oh, yeah, just the question from Ms. Whitten was, what is the relationship between the franchise fees and the
What are the assessments for?
What are the assessments
And
for?
who's being assessed? Like, is everyone being assessed or certain who's being assessed? Like, what are the assessments for?
Okay. Well, I can answer that. The assessments are a cost sharing mechanism available both by ordinance and by statute to allocate to people whose properties are reliably expected to be benefited by improvements that the city is undertaking, and therefore that it becomes appropriate that they're specially benefited in a way that citizens in the rest of the city aren't. So the assessment is a way of cost sharing, essentially, between all the other sources that go into a particular improvement project, allocating a portion of that to the actual property owners that are most directly benefited by the projected improvement. City Attorney is...
That's correct. It helps assist with the cost of the payment to those that are deriving the benefit or getting the improved utility improvement. Is usually what it is.
Assessment fee, like we're assessing the situation, like we're assessing your property. Am I wrong?
Yeah, the assessment is the determination
Where the work is being done.
Yeah, where the work's being done. Generally, it's the properties immediately adjacent to where the project's being done. And what's done is a determination is made partially on valuation, partially on the actual improvement itself to determine what would be an equitable amount of that project cost to be shared by the adjacent property owners as opposed to the citizens of the city in general. And then on our most recent assessment situation with the alleyway between 3rd and 4th, notwithstanding what might be an equitable based on frontage on the project means of doing the assessment, nevertheless it's capped at $8,000, I think, per benefited property. And then there are also some exemptions, deferrals, I think, provided in the assessment policy for people that are in particular situations.
I'm still a bit confused, like you explained to me about paying for the investment and essentially explaining the franchise fee, which I get, I understand that. What we're being assessed, like what is being assessed?
Are you talking, there's different assessments for the valuation of the property? You know, that, are you talking the value of your residence has gone up?
No, it ties into.
Let's first distinguish between assessments
Right.
and franchise fees, okay?
Right, I know what those mean. I'm just
Okay.
asking, what are these assessments for? And who will be assessed?
Okay. Well, the only assessments, and any of the councilors can chime in, or Deputy Clerk, or Josh. Josh, you want to respond to which properties are currently being assessed and maybe the next group that might be assessed?
Yeah, so with the alley project, we're assessing any property that is along the project limits. So any property that immediately abuts it. So primarily the residents off of 3rd and 4th Avenue that back up to the alley. And so the amount assessed, so we calculated for the assessment policy, but then it was elected to cap the assessment at $8,000. And so most of the assessment as per the calculation came out to about $10,000 to $12,000. That was lowered with the cap down to the $8,000. I don't know if that answers your question.
So it's the properties in the alleyway, the current project,
On the road.
that abut onto the alleyway between 4th Avenue and 3rd Avenue, going west from essentially the street where the Lucky 7th Street facility is, going west from that all the way right as far as the funeral home street. Yeah.
And, was there an assessment for our road on Fairhead? And we had that replaced? Because we had to pay for that, nobody had a franchise fee and a bus pay for that.
Franchise fee doesn't have anything to do
And
with,
it does.
no, it's a separate thing.
to help offset the cost for the assessment for those people, so instead it's spread around, that we all have to pay a little instead of those people that are assessing.
It's to help the whole town, not just this project.
I,
Mr. Mayor, too, if I may
Yes,
step in just to provide some context, because the administrator's not present tonight. And so part of the funding plan for some of these projects is implementing that franchise fee, and that is to assist in being able to financially pay for the project, but keep the assessment cap down at $8,000. And so the franchise fee assisted with kind of implementing that cap on each assessment.
To piggyback off of Josh, it also keeps our levy down. So I think that's what Dan was getting at with the city as a whole. Your property tax levy is able to remain smaller with this larger pool of money coming in from the franchise fees. So essentially,
is there a franchise fee when a caravan is done?
Just
There was an electrical one, I believe.
correct. Yes, we've
Yes,
had
there was.
and cable.
We didn't know about we didn't know about any electric franchise fee until the meeting that is published on YouTube. We already have that, and now you have a gas franchise fee for this. And even after these assessments are done, you're still gonna be having that franchise fee to go in the general fund as the city's pushing.
for the next project, yeah.
That doesn't make sense.
It's building up.
It does make sense because someday they'll be to your street. Yours will be
We're on
down,
my street, and we have to pay the assessment.
might in the next project.
I guess
It still doesn't make sense though. It should be electric only,
It should be.
only the gas station that can pay.
Okay.
right, there's 24% that don't have gas, that are just like, ooh.
We also have a cable franchise fee that's been in place since I think early '80s. So there are already 2. Now there's 3.
So
So
all of this then is going to go in the general fund after
No.
the assessments are paid.
Just to clarify on that, correct me again if I'm wrong, but the franchise fee amounts are targeted to be raised by raising the franchise fees and imposing them was that it would supplement and primarily go into street improvement reserve funds for.
Most that I took from watching the YouTube meeting, the last YouTube meeting, said that it'll go into the city's general fund for a cushion. It's just like the money from logging the trees for the industrial park. That's in the general fund, which you told me.
Josh, do you have any further information on the manner or the way in which those franchise fees are intended to be reserved?
I'd have to have you consult with your attorney.
Oh, okay. I don't know if the attorney. I think this is a case where the city administrator would probably have the most immediate knowledge. But I don't think, as counselors, we were thinking that we are increasing the monies generally available for operations of the city.
After the assessments were paid for with this franchise fee, the money will go into the general fund as a cushion to the city.
Well, the franchise fees, my understanding is they can be used for anything. They're not,
That's what I heard.
so they could be used.
So you just keep giving us franchise fees and building up the city and keep taxing us more. And just-
You know, we're taxing less. That's one of the
Taxing less.
reasons we lowered the tax rate to 3%.
We lowered the levy because we have the franchise fees. We thought it was a fair way to spread out the cost evenly.
So, and related,
It's not, it's not even, if 24% don't have to pay that.
well, there are always variations in the taxes, and we probably can't get into a whole public hearing on it. We could have another one, I suppose.
Should I
But-
just
but,
go in the room, like, if we have to have a franchise fee, then where did the $10,000 bonus come from for Lucas? Like, why did he get $10,000 and we get a fee?
Well,
I'm not sure where you.
there are determinations and allocations of generally available resources. None of the franchise money was available that related to whatever compensation went into the packages currently for the employees. One thing about the franchises that was an item we discussed was they apply not just to the residents and so on, but they also apply to otherwise exempt facilities, so that it's a more equitable sharing of costs amongst those entities which don't pay property taxes.
An example, the ambulance needed more money. And instead of raising everyone's taxes by the value of their home, they made a taxing district. And everybody pays the same amount towards the ambulance. It's the fairest way, everyone's getting the same service. The more expensive home shouldn't pay 5 times what the least expensive for the same service. And the franchise fee is a way that we lowered the levy, so everybody's paying less taxes, but the franchise fee, granted, it isn't on everybody's, but
You can't say that's true then.
Well,
there's internet franchise fee. Everyone doesn't have internet. No one says anything about that.
Just because I don't say it doesn't make it fair.
Well, I appreciate the topic being raised. I think we've shared a lot of the considerations the council bore in mind when it was voting these various things in. If you want to talk individually with councilors, but I think the council itself has made a determination in the past, and if you have another topic other than those.
You guys come into these meetings with your agenda already set to approve things. Where are the meetings where the issues are actually discussed and decided on? And why aren't we privy to that? Like, it is our business because we live here and we do pay taxes.
Every meeting, we are prohibited by law from meeting in numbers of quorums or in serialized meetings of quorums outside of public hearings. So every determination and discussion we have as a group is a public session. There haven't been any private sessions. Now, we as individual and mayor and councilors talk with the city administrator, but that's different than prearranging a
your
quorum.
agenda for approval. Like, how do you guys walk in?
Right here.
Knowing that you're gonna approve these things?
Well, we read the materials that are in the packet in addition to the agenda that support them one way or another. We have from, like today we did, from 5 to 5:30, we have an agenda setting meeting at which we go through the items that we will be voting upon later on and talk about concerns, try to get some more information, and then
That's
when
what I'm throwing out there is like, nobody knew about the industrial park before it happened. Nobody knew about the bridge before it became a thing. Like, where's our input as public citizens in these issues?
again, we can't take up the whole meeting with your public comments, as valuable as they are. There are, and we're trying to always increase the manner in which we can get information out to the public. And there are Facebook pages, web pages. We have the snapshot. We have the minutes are available. There might be an interesting point in time, Deputy Clerk, the new procedure. Where
to comment on that, Google is not managed by the city of Aurora. Google is managed by Google. It's a $1 billion company. You can Google things. That's great, but we do not manage Google. So what comes up on Google? But our website is 100% managed by staff. So that is staff, council, actions that are taken. Facebook is also 100% staff related. That's all right. So you just said you Google things, so you can stick with the city website. I'm just letting the public all know what is available to them. Facebook's 100% city managed, so that is city input that we are giving to that. We do try to be as transparent as possible. Per the request, actually, that stemmed from you. We actually put the packets now on the website. Those are available to you guys. We put them as soon as council gets them. Put them on the website. That is, like Mayor was saying, state statute. Agenda items can be brought from the public to agenda meetings, and then they will be addressed through the council. That's something staff arranges, and it goes through council. Has to either, two of them or just the mayor can decide what goes on there as well. So when Doug says he meets with the city administrator, that's in reference to if projects are brought forth. We talked about to him or to staff specifically. We talk to council, let them know, give them a heads up, hey, this is going to be brought to the agenda, or on the agenda, excuse me, to the meeting.
Made up by the time we get here, and that's when we know about it after the fact. I would like to know about it before the fact.
So when the agenda goes out, that is the first time council is seeing the agenda. There's no hidden agenda.
We are not making our decisions based on the information provided in this agenda. What we're doing, we're making a decision on the agenda packet materials, independent investigations we've done, knowledge we bring to the table, clarifications we get from the staff on some questions that we individually ask, but there are no council meetings clandestine going on. That's the whole purpose of Minnesota's very ambitious open meeting law. So, and I think it's a good opportunity because there are people probably watching. The council is working with the administrator's office to provide the additional assurance that people can sign up to receive the hard copies by email or mail.
Nowhere on your website.
Yeah.
I looked, and I was told by someone that have to be in person to request it, so I will be doing that, but
In person to request what?
so if you email the minutes, the agenda, the things that are going on in the city.
Yeah, it just came about the last meeting, so 2 weeks ago, and it's a state statute that we're following. You can get a hard mailed copy to you. We're just no longer
How does
publishing
someone
them.
do that?
We just no longer are publishing them in the Wasabi Tribune, which ironically is a month after it happens anyway. So at this meeting, we just approved January's meeting minutes, so those don't go in for a month after. So this is just saving time. We're putting them on the website now. If you want a hard copy, you can either email us or you can come to City Hall and fill out a form if you'd like as well. But
So there is a form at City Hall.
Or they can have
Yes.
it emailed to them.
you can either request
They
it.
insinuated that there was a place online on your website that you could sign up.
The Citizen Request Center, yes, that's anything that needs to happen. Yeah.
I have one more thing that I would like to say about the Economic Development Authority. I don't think that's above board. It's clearly you five guys who are accountable to you five guys, and that's odd. And why are you conveying the industrial part to yourselves?
Well, the conveyance from the city of the title, I think I explained this to you in email, was done in conjunction with the requirements of the Department of Iron Range Resource and Rehabilitation relative to the funding for the project. I don't know if they've done that with other similar spec building industrial park projects or what, but since they provided the entire funding for the project, we kind of try to accommodate them and do what they're asking. And the Economic Development Authority, in their project mind, was intended to be the owner of the properties constituting the West Industrial Park. So.
I find it weird that the council and you are literally the Economic Development Authority. You know, kind of weird. It's the exact same people. Like, is that
That's how we
not
own.
conflict of interest?
We're not the owners, we're just the
You're the
custodians.
landlords.
We're the landlords.
Does that not seem
Yeah.
odd to you?
It's not
A lot of
unusual.
times the city council and the economic development board are one and the same.
That's what we were advised that most cities do.
What the Economic Development Authority of the Minnesota statutes does, it enables certain additional powers that are not, say, common to the Housing Redevelopment Authority or the City Council to be opened up for economic development purposes to the city. And the statute, like the city attorney was mentioning, specifically authorizes the City Council to act as the board for the Economic Development Authority.
Does that not feel like a conflict of interest?
That's your opinion, man. It's not contrary. It's not contrary to the law. In a lot of smaller towns, you don't have citizen input. I've been here since 35 years, and our firm before that, and it's like the last day of elections. To sign up, you finally the same counselors. Well, I guess I'll run again because we haven't had citizens wanting to come up here and sit and be the council. I mean, that's been the reality. The meetings, hardly anybody shows up, and to try to get more interest.
We put faith in him, by electing you guys.
Well, I'm sure we appreciate that, and I think I can honestly say there's never been a moment in the years I've been on this council that I doubted for an instant that every councilor voting was voting for what they felt to be to the benefit of the community. Well, we live in a democracy and people have different opinions, and we certainly respect yours. All right, we've taken up a lot more than 3 minutes. Mr. Peel, any?
Yeah, I guess.
Identify yourself for the record.
Summit Edition. I came back after 40 years in the cities, back to the house I grew up in, actually, so that was good. And I sent an email to the city clerk about we don't have I'll tell you what she's saying. We don't have a weekly newspaper to cover the town. Like the Timber Day covers the Lake Vermilion area and all the meetings, and so it is. Things pop up. Oh, that's a surprise. Like the community seemed to be the industrial park and the water plant were not a surprise. That was like in the newsletter, the city's newsletter. So I was thinking be more aggressive with the city Facebook page on putting blurbs in there about what each department is up to, even proposals, so people aren't surprised. Unfortunately, this is the first time I went through the city minutes since I've been here. I came back in 2021, and there's a lot of stuff in there that I was a little surprised about, in a good way, that the city's so active. There's plans for a senior housing to happen. That'd be great. Stuff like that. Just what the fire department's up to. Maybe even stuff like the results of the sump pump water intrusion. What were the final results of that? It probably was in the minutes before that I just didn't read. Because
well, we certainly
to wade through the minutes. It is a lot.
Well, we sympathize.
So these blurbs would maybe be helpful. And the newsletter the last few were really good.
I know you to be an articulate person. Maybe you should approach the East Range Times, act as a reporter.
Yeah.
An opportunity. It's a very small staff there, and I think they do what they can for news. But again, and the city clerk's office does try to maintain the Facebook and other information sources, and we try to do the snapshot about every 6 months to catch people up.
It'd be easier.
Everything's already packed and done in motion.
Yeah, the quickness, of course, you're not on Facebook, but it'd be quicker just to put the blurbs on Facebook. And then, I could send ideas in, and you could send them to department heads, and they could add or subtract from them. Throw just brief, this is what we're up to. This is what's coming, or what we're thinking of. Yeah.
All right, appreciate the comments and appreciate the interest. I think we always like when we get some citizen input at the meetings. So, anyone else from the audience there that wants to comment? Or? All right, if not, then no one's online, right? No. All right, so then we move ahead with our agenda to, reports from staff members we've had in our agenda setting meeting. So I assume there are no additions there. And then we move down to reports from councilors. Councilor Godey?
Yeah, planning and zoning had no meeting this month. It's the slow time of the year. No permits to go over, so till spring comes, we'll have shorter meetings. But then on the other hand, the fire department had a couple pretty good fires in the last month. And I just want to say that we did lose one fireman. One fireman decided not to stay on, and we're always looking for anyone that would be willing to donate their time to the fire department. It's a good and necessary organization.
An amazing education. Had a lot of elements of public safety and emergency matters. Yeah.
And then this, it's the start of the year where we're reorganizing different committees. And this year on the East Range Public Safety Board, last year I was the vice chair. This year is Aurora's turn to be the chairperson. So even though I went to the meeting, I still got picked to go.
Congratulations.
The vice chair, the chairperson. That's the only committees I want to talk about today.
Yeah, just to echo what you were saying about the fire department, I think general consensus in the community was they did a superb job of addressing each fire, and particularly the most recent one, were able to keep it from spreading to the adjacent structures. And yeah, it's a real credit to the fire department staff there. So that completes your report?
Well, I do want to add one more thing. On the back of the tax statement, the preliminary tax statement, it lists to every town what they're paying. Our increase was this year. We are the lowest, just about of everyone up here. We set ours at 5, which we lowered to 3. For example, Chisholm is 10%, Eveleth is 10%, Gilbert is 35%, White Lakes is 29%, Virginia's 5.5%. So every decision we make is to try to help the homeowners in town. I think by just the amount we can keep our levy at shows that we're trying to help the people that live in Aurora. That's all I want to say about that.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson.
Yeah, I just want to pick if people that maybe missed the librarian's report, because of the change now that the council minutes aren't going to be published in the Saba Tribune anymore. They are going to have copies available at the library. There'll be drafts, I guess, until we've, because as Lindsay said earlier, it's a month after or 2 weeks later that we approve the minutes before they become official. But those will be available starting right away. Good. And I just wanted to, as a newer council member, to respond a little bit. The magnitude of when something finally comes up for a final vote by the council, we've had in some cases months of there's planning and preparation from engineering and legal. We get a lot of input so that we aren't just making it up as we go along. We've had this, it's ongoing for months, like this alley project they've talked about for 2 years. So it might seem like it's all cut and dried and very quickly done, but people, if you come regularly to meetings, you will hear us talking about stuff for quite a few times before it finally comes to a final vote. That's it.
Thank you, Councilor Hanson. Councilor Hess.
Oh, just a couple of things. East Range Public Safety Board, we have another officer coming on. He's doing the background and everything now. I would think probably in about a month he'll be on staff. Tri-City Ambulance, we had a Tri-City ambulance meeting 2 weeks ago. Our rate per month went up $200, so we're paying $1,400 a month now. And new ambulance is ordered. New ambulance used to be $100,000, now it's $290,000. So, and then just a heads up and thank you to the city crew. Good job they're doing keeping downtown clean.
Yeah.
That's it.
Councilor McCloskey from Arizona.
Yeah, update on the HRA meeting that was held last month. First of all, I'd like to indicate that there's an opening on the HRA board, so if any citizens want to join the HRA board, they can come to City Hall and get a quick application to fill that out. The news, as Mr. Peel in the audience indicated, that the HRA is diligently working on, they're getting a survey together and they're going to target individuals who are in the senior citizen, like myself, age bracket, to see what type of senior housing they would like to see in Aurora, if Aurora actually could do senior housing. Where would they like to be located? How many levels? What size? That sort of thing. And to that end, one of their primary locations that they were looking at was the old power plant building, which is right across the street from the fire department. But Mr. Hodnick came and gave a history of the plant site, and there's some obvious issues with that, potential brownfield, potential slabs of cement that were left behind and such. So he recommended that perhaps before we move forward with that, we get an organization that's technical on doing soil samples and that sort of thing to see what we're up against. So that was the news coming out of the HRA. There will be a survey going out, and they're moving forward with looking at options for senior housing, but there's nothing right now that's carved in stone or any date set with anything like that. That's all I got.
Thank you, Councilor. Let's see, the mayor's report then. I think it should be encouraging to share that without naming any names, there are some interested tenants of the 30,000 square foot spec building that's being constructed as part of the West Industrial Park. And that gives me at least some degree of confidence we won't have a vacant structure there. I believe that building is supposed to be complete and available in August. So the staff at the Iron Range Resources is in particular fielding some of those potential occupants. The other encouraging thing on the water project, we continue now to, Hoyt Lakes is committed to joining into that water project as a source for their treated water, and we're engaged in a series of monthly, in this case, bi-monthly meetings to try to accelerate it, to establish the terms and the timetables on which Hoyt Lakes could join in and benefit from that new East Range water system. In relation to that, too, those that are curious, on Lake Mine Road, the first, they call them lifts, of I think 65-foot, 12-foot diameter casing is being sunk down into the ground, and I think when we get the warmer spells, are actually pouring concrete on it. So that component of that project is working. Then those that have seen some of the work in the background around the water tower, the water treatment plant is beginning to be constructed, and taking into consideration that we'll be supplying maybe water more likely 28 or 29 to White Lakes by the time they make all of the financial arrangements and things there. There was, in relation to housing, by the way, if you have contacts in Biwabik, there was a meeting on Tuesday in this chamber of the housing cohort associated with the Minnesota Housing Partnership group that had a presentation from Kinda, which is a Norwegian company that's has some presence in Tower, but Biwabik folks seem to be particularly interested in some 8-plexes that a cluster of like 5 8-plexes on the old school building, and which could have an impact on our housing availability here also. And then let's see, I guess Councillor Hanson and I are going to try to meet with labor representatives on some project labor agreement issues. But other than that, that's the mayor's report. So moving back to our agenda, agenda item 16 is old business. We have none on the agenda. Moving to agenda item 17, new business. 17.1 is dealing with the Iron Range Resources Commercial Redevelopment Grant process. And maybe, Deputy Clerk, you want to just again explain the necessity and intent of the proposed resolution?
Sure, so the city would have to make the application to the IRRB, so this is just that blanket resolution allowing us for any businesses that come forward that would like to apply or like us to apply on their behalf. This is allowing us to do so.
And this is for the beautification process, right?
Correct.
Yeah, all right. So the beautification committee would probably somehow be in a position of advising the city on those things. All right. So, and this essentially sets the stage for all those actions by adopting the resolution.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So we have before us resolution number 2025-13. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion.
Moved by Councillor Hess. Is there support?
I'll support it.
All right, Councilor McCloskey, got a word in there. That's good. All right, supported by Councilor McCloskey, moved by Councilor Hess. Any further discussion on that prepared motion or resolution? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Gregor?
Yes.
Godey?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
McCloskey?
Yes.
That resolution is adopted. Moving on to agenda item 17.2, proposed resolution 2025-14 to accept donation from Essentia Health for the warming shack in the Pine Grove Park. And that donation's in the amount of $10,000. Very, very generous contribution toward that.
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution 2025-14.
All right, moved by Councilor Hess, and it's
I'll support that.
supported by Councilor Godey. And I assume we'll send a suitable letter of thanks to the Essentia folks for that generous donation. Let's see.
Mr. Mayor, this is John. I've already sent them a thank you note handwritten. If the administrator or deputy administrator wants to send another, that would be fine. But they have received a thank you, and I'd like to thank them publicly again for stepping up to the table and donating $10,000 to the permanent farming shack that we hope to construct this coming construction season.
Right. And that'll go on top of some other donations also, right? So I think been caring for kids and Adolphson and Peterson are all contributing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And New Range Copper also gave us a donation for $10,000.
Wonderful.
And this will be a changing facility for the summertime. It's not just a warming shack. It's going to be for the kids at the splash pad to be able to change.
Okay. I believe there's a motion on the table and it's been seconded. Any further discussion? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Gregor?
Yes.
Godey?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
McCloskey?
Yes.
The motion passes unanimously. Moving on to agenda item 17.4, Knights of Columbia is asking for, I'm sorry, did I miss something?
17.3.
Floodplain.
Oh, the floodplain. Yes. I'm sorry. Moving on. Agenda item 17.3 is resolution 2025-15. The intent to hold a public hearing to adopt floodplain ordinance provisions, and that we had some discussion of that at the agenda setting meeting that preceded this. I think the engineer indicated that we'd be providing many more details at that specific public hearing. And when is the date for that?
Yep, so that'll be March 4th. And as mentioned by our city engineer, the planner will be present for that. So.
And just for those that might be overly concerned, I believe it's fair to say that a very modest portion of the city is affected by actual floodplain regulations, but there is a requirement to periodically update and incorporate into our ordinances those areas and regulations that pertain to them. So, let's see, we had a motion?
I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 2025-15 for setting a public hearing for proposed floodplain ordinance.
Moved by Councillor Hess. Is there support? I'll support it. Supported by Councillor Hanson. Any further discussion on that? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Trigger.
Yes.
Godey.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
McLeod.
Yes.
All right, the motion passes unanimously. Now moving to 17.4, which is a request by the Knights of Columbus for authorization to hold 2 bingo events. I think they've done that for many years and seem to have responsibly handled the events. So,
I'll make the motion to approve the Knights of Columbus charitable bingo request.
all right, moved by Councilor McCloskey. Is there support?
I'll support it.
Supported by Councilor Godey. Any other questions or concerns about that? Seeing none, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Gregor.
Yes.
Godey.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
McLeod.
Yes.
All right, the motion's adopted unanimously. 17.5, it has to do with a request. The Celebrate Aurora, separate organization, is requesting an allotment of a portion of the gambling proceeds that the city receives each year from the gambling operations. And in the past, we've provided, I believe, $5,000 per year toward the combined events of both the 3rd of July and the Pumpkin Fest. And this, I believe, is, given the budget they've provided and everything else, again, a request for one allocation for that organization's 2 events there. And again, we've done 5,000 in the past. Is there a motion to provide gambling proceeds to the organization? Councilor McCloskey, I think you had.
Yeah, in the past several years, it's been $5,000, but given the cost of the fireworks, the bands, and that sort of thing escalating with inflation, in the previous meeting, I recommended that maybe we move that up to $5,500. And again, these aren't tax dollars being used; these are dollars that come in from the charitable gambling that is run by the local establishments in Aurora, and we have to designate it only to nonprofit type organizations. We can't put this in the general fund. So I would recommend $5,500 this year, given how costs have increased.
I'll second that.
So, again, Councilor McCloskey moves approval of $5,500, seconded by Councilor Hess. Any further discussion on the issue? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Gregor.
Yes.
Godey.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
McLeod.
Yes.
And, motion passes unanimously. 17.6 deals with library staff retention premiums, sometimes called merit pay. And I believe Councilor Hess, you had a motion made?
I'll have a motion to table this item until Luke is here and we can discuss it.
City Administrator, okay, is there support for that?
I'll support that.
Supported by Councilor Godey. Any concerns or discussion about the motion on the table? If not, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Gregor.
Yes.
Godey.
Yes.
Hanson.
Yes.
Hess.
Yes.
McLeod.
Yes.
All right, that matters tabled. Get some more input from the city administrator. The city administrator actually is out in Washington doing a variety of things, but representing the Minnesota Rural Water Association International Conference. He is knocking on a few congressional doors, possible funding sources for projects in the future, and we'll look forward to when he gets back and maybe getting a report on rural water issues that are shared not just by us, but by the broader community of small communities. 17.7 is other business. Any other business, Deputy Clerk or any councilors to bring forward?
Well, Mayor, I'd just like to point out that Luke is out in Washington doing this, and he's not costing the city anything. This is all being picked up by the Rural Water Association that he's a part of.
Good clarification point. Yes, we don't provide much money for junkets off into various directions. Any other matters brought up?
Other than sitting on the state board, he also sits on the national water board.
Right. Yeah.
People realize that he's holding two spots, one state and one national.
Yeah.
Which is our benefit.
Yeah, he brings in an incredible amount of current information from so many communities, both around the state but around the nation also. Yeah.
Out in the community, there's been some rumblings about they think there should be an audit of Aurora. Every year we get, this is the audit we get. It's quite extensive and it's quite expensive, and everything is looked at. Nothing is hidden. It's all in the audit.
Well, obviously,
What?
Yep.
That's public information.
yeah, it's public information.
Yeah.
Where do we get it?
City Hall.
Look at it?
I signed it
You
all.
can come and look at it. Yeah, copies cost money. Yep, you've done data requests before. We definitely allow you to inspect it or take it home with you if you want a copy.
So it's not scanned in online.
The audit is not, no.
Yeah, it's
Great suggestion, though. I mean, we definitely could look into that for sure, because it is a couple hundred pages, so.
yeah, and I'm sure in the auditor's staff systems, it's in digital form, so maybe there'd be a way to.
Yeah, we'd love you on it. Walker drew in how many auditor general.
All right. Again, renewing any other matters to bring before. If not, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved by Councillor Hanson, seconded by Councillor Hess. Seeing no further discussion, can we have a roll call vote, please?
Gregor? Gregor?
Yes.
Jody?
Yes.
Hanson?
Yes.
Hess?
Yes.
McClousage?
Yes.
All right. We stand adjourned until our next meeting is on February 18th at 4:30 when we have the public hearing. And then followed by a regular agenda setting meeting at 5 o'clock and the regular council meeting at 5:30. So stay safe.